Hey girls, this is Miss Gaska. Today I wanted to share with you my favorite method for tracking my reading understanding. This method is the double entry diary or the double entry journal, whichever you prefer to call it. Now, I have for this example pulled up my Kindle Cloud Reader via Amazon, and I've pulled up the book called Elsewhere. It's a book that I highly recommend. It's very good. And I'm using Microsoft Word for this demonstration. This also works in other programs, like if you're using Google Docs or a similar program to that. But for the sake of this video, I'm going with Word. So the first thing that I'm going to want to do is set up my double entry diary or double entry journal. So I'm going to go to the insert button. I'm going to select table. Now, even though it's called a double entry journal, I'm going to be using 3 columns, and then I'm just going to add several boxes. It doesn't really matter how many boxes because you could always add more. So I'm going to do 3 columns by going over 3, and then I'm going to go down however many. Like I said, it really doesn't matter, and I'll show you how to add more in a little bit. So once you select that, our first box we're going to entitle page number. You could also put PG period number sign, which is hashtag as you guys know it. In the middle column we're going to put quote, and then in the side column we're going to put I think / my thoughts. So the point of the double entry journal is it's supposed to have you stop and focus on whatever it is that your brain is thinking as you're reading. The reason this is helpful for people who want to comprehend their reading better is that when you think about what you're reading, it helps commit it to memory better. So sometimes what we see when we're reading is that we'll read something, and by the time we get to the end of it, we have no idea what we just read. We don't remember a single thing about it. We might as well have not even read it at all. And it could be very frustrating to us when that happens. So doing this kind of thing can, 1, help you commit it to your brain so that you're actually understanding what you're reading and remembering what you've read by the time you get to the end of it. But even if you don't remember a certain part, you have these notes that you've taken for yourself. So let's begin. I'll demonstrate how to do this. I'm also going to go into my header, which if you don't know how to do that, you go to the very top of the document. Here, I'll show you. You go to the top of the document, you double click that document, and then you can type in double entry diary. All right. So once you go ahead and do that, I'm going to resize this section because your page number is not going to take that much room. And I'm going to resize this section because your thoughts and your quote should take about the same amount of room. So using Elsewhere, I'm going to demonstrate how to do a double entry journal. So this is the table of contents. Prologue in the end. The end came quickly and there wasn't any pain. Sometimes the father whispers it to the mother. Sometimes the mother to the father. From the top of the stairs, Lucy hears it all and says nothing. So on page 1, automatically I'm like, the father whispers it to the mother. Well, my thoughts are, why are they saying the father and the mother? Like, that's kind of a weird phrasing, isn't it? I thought it was kind of weird, so it's worth noting. So one way that I've just used the double entry journal is I've used it to ask a question about what it is I'm reading. Obviously, this question doesn't need to be answered at all. It never has to be answered. This is just a way that my brain is currently interacting with what it is I'm reading. So the next thing is where it says, for Lizzie's sake, Lucy wants to believe that the end was quick and painless. A quick end is a good end. But she can't help wondering, how do they know? The moment of the crash certainly must have been painful, Lucy reasons. And what if one moment hadn't been quick at all? So I'm going to put on page 1, for Lizzie's sake, and I'm going to put ... When you put ... that means that there's something that's either trailing off or something that you're not including. I don't want to type this entire quote, I just want parts of it. So I'm only going to type the parts that I want, and I'm going to use ... to show that that wasn't the entire quote. So, and that should be inside the quotation. So the second thing I want to add is the moment of the crash. So here my brain is putting together some connections. It says for Lizzie's sake, meaning to me that means that Lizzie must have been the one to experience this crash. So, and based on the fact that it's talking about the end, I'm going to guess that Lizzie must have passed away. So I'm going to say Lizzie passed away in a crash. So my brain made that inference based on the information that I've been given so far. And this is all very quick. This is all on page 1. Now, you don't have to make this many notes. It depends on how detailed or how not detailed you want to be. You may feel like this is just a way to add more time to what you're reading, but it really saves time, because think of all the time you won't have to go back and reread parts that you don't understand. So I'm going to continue for just a little bit longer and then we'll summarize. So she wanders into Lizzie's room and surveys it despondently. Here's another example of how I might use a double entry journal. I might use it to track vocabulary words that I don't understand. So I'm going to say despondently. And I'm going to try to figure out what it means. So that means either I'll look it up online, maybe I will try to guess what it means based on the context clues. But one of the cool things about Amazon Kindle Cloud Reader is that you can double click on the word and it highlights the word and shows you what it means, which to me is super convenient. It saves so much time because you don't have to look it up. So over here, I'm going to put in low spirits from loss of hope or courage. Or I could just put in low spirits. Which, if you want to further define that for yourself, depressed or sad. Okay, so you see I've given 3 examples of ways that my brain is interacting with the text. 1, I ask questions as I'm reading. My brain is wondering things about the text. 2, I'm making inferences about the text. It's putting together pieces that I'm given, but haven't been given the whole piece. And 3, I'm using it to define words that I might not understand. There are many different ways that you can interact with the text. These aren't the only 3 ways you can. Maybe something is interesting to you, or maybe there's a quote that you liked. Whatever it is, it's your double entry diary, which means that the things that you include are up to you. So no matter which pieces you decide to include, this is going to help you regardless. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. So what I want to show you last but not least is, I know I said that there's a way to add more boxes if you run out. So if you go to the box at the bottom and you click the right click button and you hit insert, you can insert rows below and it adds another row. But even easier than that is you could go to the very last box that you have on your table and then hit the tab button and it automatically adds another row. I could keep tabbing through, it adds row after row after row. Super simple, super easy. But those are 2 different ways you could do it. It's up to you which one you prefer. To me, the tab is easier, but perhaps you think the other way is easier. So what I would like for you to do in your independent reading is I want you to choose a book to read. Choose a book to read. It could be any type of book, but it has to be on your reading level. It has to be your age appropriate. And it has to be something that interests you. Now, if you have trouble figuring out what kind of book might interest you, feel free to contact me and I'll help you work through that. But once you do that, I want you to read the first chapter and create a double entry diary. So, did I misspell this? There we go. Okay. So, I'm going to write the assignment on here in big letters so you can see it. So, your assignment is to choose a novel that is appropriate for your reading level, which means it should be something that you can read, but a little bit challenging. Like it should push you a little bit to get better at reading, and appropriate for your age group. Then read the first chapter and create a double entry diary for that chapter. All right, so that is your assignment. I'll make it a little bit bigger so you could see. And I'm also going to be posting this on Canvas, so you'll have it on there as well. And if you have any questions, just reach out to me. I am happy to help you with anything that you might need. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great day.